Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Spectrum wants to hear your views. You can SMS at any time during the show. Type Spectrum, leave a space, type in your contribution and name, then send it to 7197. Your views, our interviews on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM 90.
Hello, a very warm welcome. This is Spectrum on Radio 1. I'm your host, Edmond. Kizito. On Spectrum tonight, how is the Uganda Revenue Authority helping to promote exports, considering the challenges being raised by traders and those wishing to engage in export trade? In its resolve to become self-reliant, the government is urging Ugandans to engage in activities that will boost the economy. One of the most lucrative avenues would be engaging in the export trade to improve foreign exchange earnings and also enhance household incomes. Uganda has several comparative advantages over its neighbors in many areas, which gives it an opportunity to harness the markets in these countries. Ugandan products also have a sizable demand on the international market. Despite having a large export potential, Uganda still imports more than it exports, a situation that is not healthy to any economy. Experts say this could partly be due to a hesitation by many Ugandans to engage in export trade due to emergent obstacles. The Uganda Revenue Authority is one of the national institutions working with the Ministry of Trade and Industry and other agencies to regulate trade and also help in eliminating such obstacles. The tax body, as a custodian of the export procedures and requirements, has a large say on who can become an export trader and what exactly such a person or company needs to do to get started. Without export trade, Uganda would only rely on aid and locally generated revenues to manage its development agenda, and so it must support its traders to bring in more foreign exchange and boost the economy. So tonight we look at the role of the URA in facilitating the export trade and efforts the authority is taking to help eliminate obstacles deterring some people from fully engaging in the export trade. Our guests tonight, Mr. Richard Kitaaka, Export Officer at the Customs Department of the Uganda Revenue Authority. You're most welcome, Mr. Kitaaka.
Good evening.
Yes, we're also joined by Mr. Emmanuel Natumanya, Customs Officer at the Customs Department of the same URA. You're most welcome, Mr. Natumanya.
Good evening, viewers.
Viewers, because we're also on the internet, you will be able to call in and contribute to this discussion. Mr. Natumanya, how vibrant is Uganda's export trade?
The export trade in Uganda is developing. I wouldn't say it's vibrant at the moment, but it's developing and we have a lot of potential. So that's why we are here. We're trying to promote so that we can give information to people to know that they can actually do the export, because without information they might not know that there is potential here in Uganda.
And how can it be helped to grow?
I think first of all we need to educate our potential exporters, because I'm sure most of us in Uganda are potential exporters. There's a lot of things you can export in Uganda which people are not aware about. As we go through, we take you through, we shall try and explain some of the items that are exported that are actually close to us that we don't know.
All right. Maybe, Mr. Kitaaka, you can talk to us about what you think are some of the loopholes, the things that block people or discourage people from actually getting into the export market.
The problem is that the loopholes is that people are not aware of what need to be educated. Need to be educated to get to know what they really need, and that's why we've come.
All right. So, I mean, broadly, we'll talk about some of the things that people can export. But broadly, what do you think the government needs to do to get people to export broadly before we zero down on what is happening?
First of all, I think people need to be aware of what items or goods that we have here in this country which are marketable outside this country. And also, people need to know that exports are not only the local produce the other exports, for example, here people do some manufacturing and some other things like, for example, recently even people are making local herbs which are being re-exported, but mostly Chinese. So even the local people need to know that if someone from China can come here and start making local herbs using our soils and start exporting, then Ugandans can also take up that and do the same.
All right, we'll talk
maybe to add on his point, people need to know that in case someone has imported in something and fails to get market within the country, that very same thing can still be re-exported.
All right.
Or even when things have come in and paid taxes, have been brought in and have paid taxes, they can still be able to be re-exported.
All right, we'll talk about those in detail, but broadly talk to us about how one enters the export market.
I think to enter the export market, first of all, the item you are to export. If you're going to do local exports,
let's assume you want to export bananas. You have bananas of good quality and you want to send them to Kenya, for instance.
Yes. Now with bananas, for example, bananas I think have been re-exported. People export them through the airport, even take them to Kenya and take them, because there are no limits. I think there's no policy saying you must export a certain type or amount. But of course you must get some bodies to verify and see that the standard, you see the international standards. Before you start exporting something, you need to know the standards which are required for you to export, because not every country allows in anything that is exported to that same country. So they have standards. So for example, if you want to export bananas to Kenya, here there is UNBS. You can get a certification, or you get certified from a certificate from Uganda Bureau of Standards, because in Kenya they still ask what standards.
Okay, let's take it step by step. I woke up one morning after listening to you tonight on this talk show.
Yes.
Then I decided I can sell my bananas in Kenya rather than selling them here, maybe cheaply. I wake up, I have to go to the International Bureau of Standards first of all.
Yeah, that one is advisable.
That's step one.
Because any country that you're taking your goods to, they need to get a certification of standards from these other countries.
Let's get it. I mean, we know what happens in Kenya. We know about green bananas, the matoke.
Yes.
I wake up one morning, I take one bunch to UNBS.
Yes.
And they look at them and do what?
No, you don't take one bunch. You know, once you decide to export, first of all, you have to prepare papers. Now here, we encourage, if you're a first-time exporter, to first contact like a clearing agent, a clearing firm. Once you get the firm, then they will help you on how you can organize your papers. And once your papers have been organized and your items have been you sort out your items that you want to export, from there, then you can go to UNBS, because they want something that is ready to go.
Let's try to demystify these agents that you're talking about, because they might ask me for heaven and earth when I could have done it myself. If I want to export my bananas, I go to the UNBS. Is that what I do?
No, if you want to export your bananas, you can get your bananas, drive to the border, get an export entry and go. But the other country also is going to ask you for documents to show the quality of the items you're bringing into your country.
All right, let's broaden it a little bit. What are the more easily exportable items right now?
Of course, there's like coffee, because coffee goes and if you're like you have coffee which is ready, you go to the coffee
development authority.
Yes, and once they give you that certification and confirm that your goods are of standard, then you capture these URA papers, what we call an entry or a SAD, and then it's verified by URA to confirm because you see with coffee there's some bit of money that is reimbursed to you, for example for packages. So what you pack in, because it pays VAT, and so when you export,
you have to register with the URA
so
for a tax refund.
Yeah, tax refund. So once you're done with that, then you export and the papers are stamped at the border, and then In Kenya, actually, coffee goes for auctioning. For auctioning in Mombasa.
There's an auction.
Yes. But that is if you are an exporter. But with coffee, I think there are those who grow coffee and those who export. So maybe while we are here, we are trying to encourage even those people who grow coffee can as well export their own coffee.
On their own.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about other items. You mentioned coffee. What else?
We have maize. We have tea. We have cotton.
Fish.
We have fish. We have hides and skins.
These are the traditional ones.
Yes,
Tobacco.
traditional ones. Tobacco.
And we even export cocoa, I think.
Yeah,
Yes.
cocoa.
And gold.
Yes, gold. Yes, yeah, gold.
All right, but let's talk about the things that you would try to promote, the things that are not being exported, the non-traditional exports. Let's forget about flowers because those are now being exported already. What other things can one export? Green pepper. Talk to us about some of those.
Green pepper, sim, beans.
Even live animals like goats.
You can export goats.
Yeah, you can
Yeah,
export.
can be exported.
And where do these things go?
For example, the goats they were being exported to Saudi Arabia, but I think the goats they brought like 4 planes. The goats got over. They couldn't
Feel even one.
Yeah, even one. No, they filled in. I think they filled like 3 planes, and then the 4th one went without.
It was empty.
It was empty. So the production is very low. So also deciding to export, definitely you need to expand on your production. You can't be where even if you have like 500 goats, a plane can take more than 1,000. Where will you get all those goats?
Let's get our mindset correctly. When I talk about exports, we're talking about volumes.
Volumes.
There is a market out there.
There is a market, but we need the volumes. So while we are here, we are trying to show people that the process is not the problem. So the problem is the production. People need to increase on the production because you can say, I want to export. I'll give you an example of someone who was exporting sponges. You know these local sponges?
Yes, the loafers.
Yes. He took them to, I think, to the UK in those supermarkets, and they said we need 5 tons per month.
5 tons of loafers.
Yes, you can imagine.
And the loafers are very light.
They are very light. And he had to give up because he came and couldn't get the goods.
5 tons of loafers.
Yes. So where do you get those when you don't have a big base?
Let's talk about some of the other items that one can export. Can one export mangoes?
Yes, mangoes are being exported through Entebbe.
Yes.
So, but you know, mangoes have standards.
Yes.
So, for any other country to allow in, especially fruits, you must have standards.
Yes.
Yes, so those are the standards we are talking about.
Let's broaden it a little bit. I'm looking at someone with a farm in Kawanda or wherever,
yes,
and he wants to know what to sell. He's selling tomatoes in the local market and is getting a raw deal. What can they go into and what do they need to do?
You see, now for us here, we are trying to show that the process is easy. The process is not the problem.
Yes.
But I don't think Revenue Authority can go ahead and get for you a market where you want to export. That has to be your initiative. Once you've gotten the market and you have the goods, then your problem will be the process. So most people think like the process.
Yes, I would like us to talk about the process in a short while. But first of all, let's do some backward linkage. Let's look at the source of the product. You want to export green pepper, and you people are in the know. You're trying to raise more money through exports. You are saying you can export some of these items. That's why we're interested in the items that one can export.
Yeah, but
educate the listeners on that.
Yeah, but one thing I wanted to clarify is we don't tax exports apart from hides and skin. So we don't tax exports. So when you export, the benefits are you bring in hard currency, you bring in dollars, and
yes,
we need that for the economy.
For the economy.
Yes.
Stabilize the shilling.
Stabilize, because we are getting more imports than exports.
Right.
So for us to be a functioning economy, I think we need to have lots of exports.
Well, listeners, this is Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight. How is the Uganda Revenue Authority helping to promote exports, considering the challenges being raised by traders and those wishing to engage in export trade? We have experts from that authority, you will be able to call in and talk to them directly at some stage. Mr. Kitaaka.
So maybe what you are talking of is that what happens is that a customs agent captures an entry.
Yes.
An entry and registers that declaration. Then after it's registered, that agent presents that SAD with the necessary export accompanying documents to the bond or the warehouse for verification.
Yes.
So when he presents it for verification, we've got verification officers in those ICDs and the bonds and the warehouses. These officers will examine those goods and make what they call a verification account. Now, after that verification account has been made, that entry or the SAD will be presented to the export desk in Kampala CPC for confirmation of those export goods. Then after satisfaction, we shall assess the entry and generate a release order.
Yes.
This release order will be presented back to the agent to go and be able to take those goods for exportation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, go on.
Maybe another controversial part that comes in. Well, we've talked about local producers, but there are other exports that are bonded. And I think that's where people...
Yeah, let's talk about the different types of exports.
Yes. For example, there are two main types of exports, but under those types there are regimes. So there are bonded exports and unbonded exports. Now, bonded exports, you see, if you bring in goods and you've not yet paid for them taxes and they are in a warehouse, and you feel like you've got a market somewhere else outside Uganda and you want to export them, then these goods have to be bonded at the value of what you are supposed to pay in taxes.
Yes.
And until they exit, then that bond is cancelled. So if they don't exit, then
you have to pay taxes.
You have to pay the taxes.
So if you bring them in, then you discover you can't sell them locally. They could be shoes from China or wherever.
Yes.
You won't sell them to Zaire or the DR Congo.
Yes.
Suppose you had paid taxes already. Do you get a refund?
No. Once you've paid taxes,
that's it.
They go like you don't need to bond them. They go in a regime called, as I'll take you through, called EX3, where you are just re-exporting goods where you've paid taxes. So we don't need to bond them. And why I wanted to clarify on bonded exports, maybe some clearing agents might go and tell people that, you see, bonded export, it has nothing to do with payments. You only pay for services. You only pay for services to a clearing agent to help you process, but there is no taxes involved. Because you are using the clearing agent's bond, so you pay a certain fee. So the clearing agent makes sure that these goods exit. Once they have exited and officers at the borders have confirmed that these goods have exited, then in our system we cancel that bond.
Yes.
Yes.
But you say you could bring in an export thinking you'll sell it on the local market. Then you find the people are not interested and you want to sell it to the DRC and they've already paid taxes. Why won't you get your refund?
But
since they are goods in transit, in effect.
But once now you are no longer under customs control. Once you've paid money and then your goods are released to you. Your goods are released to you. So the Uganda Revenue Authority can't be sure those are the exact goods that were cleared, let's say like a month ago. So once you clear for home use, you can't get a refund yet.
How about export of services? Do you have incentives there?
Export of services?
Yes.
Like professionals?
Yes, professionals, consultants.
Well, us as export desk, we don't deal in export of services.
Yes.
We tend to concentrate on goods.
Well, let's talk about Ugandans returning from abroad. They have their income, they want to repatriate it here. Do you tax them?
When someone is coming in, they're entitled to certain...
Well, someone comes back with $1 million. Do you tax that? It's an export income because he sold his services in another country.
I think when it's an income, it's taxed. Even the bank is taxed where the money is sent to. Because if he comes in, they have benefits when they come in. For example,
one car and suitcase. Personal effects.
The personal effects, but that's the law. URA doesn't make the law; it enforces the law.
So you tax their income.
Yeah.
Someone comes the $1 million. How much will you have in the end, Mr. Kitaaka?
I think those details, it's better to ask the domestic department. Because now when it's coming in, it's not exporting, it's importing. It's bringing in the money. So unless the money is being exported...
If it was something to do with moving out, that would be whatever. But when it's coming in...
It's a different...
Do you tax export revenues? Someone sells their coffee. Do you tax that income?
Yes, of course it's done, but you see, URA is in sections. You see that people tax income, and for us we are customs. So customs concentrates usually on the goods going out and the goods coming in, but things to do with the services, income, taxation, it's done by the domestic tax department.
And which items can one not export?
Now, the ones one may not export are the goods possibly that may be restricted.
Like scrap metal. Scrap metal is restricted.
By government. That's
by government. And of course the reason is they need that metal eventually to industrialize as a raw material. Yes.
Yes.
And I think there is limitation on the timber exports.
Yeah, timber is also not.
So no steel ingots, iron ore.
No. Scrap. Yeah.
Then number 2, you don't export timber.
Timber.
What else?
Timber is limited. It's not like it's fully. Timber is limited. It's not like fully like scrap metal. So yes, they export in limited numbers.
Like what? Processed timber?
For example, you see exports are so many now that there's timber that comes from like DRC transiting through here.
Timber from the DRC?
Yes, transiting through Uganda. No, Congolese or Sudanese exporting, and they transit through Uganda. Yeah, so that timber can be re-exported through Uganda, although the origin is not Uganda. Just like gold and other items which come from other countries, and they go through Uganda. Just like we go through Kenya taking our items to Mombasa.
So transit exports, those are allowed. We'll talk about those. This is Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight. How is the Uganda Revenue Authority helping to promote exports, considering the challenges being raised by traders and those wishing to engage in the export trade? We'll go for a break. We'll be back, and then you'll be able to ask questions to this gentleman. Do stay tuned.
Excuse me, guys. Let me through, please.
Yes.
What?
Check this guy. Goodness, dude, what are you doing? Get real.
Just move a little bit.
Man, what are you doing bringing a cow into the sitting room?
It's just for when I want milk.
Just what?
Just please move. Let it come and sit here.
What's wrong with this guy?
You cannot keep a cow in your home, but you can get the freshness of its milk straight from the farm into your home. Get Fresh Diary Milk for freshness straight from the farm every day. Fresh Diary, so fresh.
John, Mike and I, we go back a bit. We knew John at the beginning, working for someone else. But he was different. He had vision, saw opportunities. He started working towards his goal, opened his own garage, and worked, learning the hard way. His reputation spread. Trust, consistency, quality. Soon people were coming to him from all parts. He made himself and his whole street prosper, and also helped friends, seeing potential in people and helping them on. But John never shouts about all his success. He's just who he is. Special.
So here's to men like John, who make a difference, who enjoy Nile Special, the rich, satisfying taste from the source. Nile Special. You've earned it.
Not for sale to persons under 18.
Imagine never being unreachable again. Imagine no more buffering and unreliable connections. Imagine no more high costs on IT equipment and support. Imagine no more administrative costs to make cash payments. Imagine meeting with people in person across the globe within seconds. Because with the right partner, anything is possible. Whatever your business requirements, we can find a solution. Call 0313-121-121 or email talkbusiness@mtn.co.ug today. MTN Business.
MTN. Everywhere you go.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90.
Welcome back on Spectrum tonight. How is the Uganda Revenue Authority helping to promote exports, considering the challenges being raised by traders and those wishing to engage in export trade? Our guests tonight, Mr. Richard Kitaaka, Export Officer at the Customs Department of the Uganda Revenue Authority, and Mr. Emmanuel Natumanya, Customs Officer at the Customs Department of the URA. You will be able to call in and contribute to this discussion. Mr. Natumanya, are all exports the same? Tomatoes, mangoes, and other things?
Yeah, well, not all exports are the same. They have regimes. Now, like I explained earlier, there are bonded exports and unbonded exports. Now, if you're doing local exports, you're exporting local goods or goods that are locally manufactured from here or grown here in Uganda, you use a regime called EX1. So this regime is not bonded, just like we are saying, we're trying to promote. So if you really want to export, there's no bonding. You just organize your goods, get to a certain agreed standard, then you can export. Then there are those on EX2. Now EX2, if you have like let's say a machine and you want to take it out for repair and you want to bring it back, and you've already paid taxes for it, but it's faulty, it can't be repaired here, and you want to export it, let's say to Germany, get it repaired, and you bring it back without paying taxes again.
Most times they take them to South Africa.
Oh, South Africa. Then you go to a regime called EX2, which is temporary export. So you export temporarily, then when the repair is done, then you can bring them back without paying afresh for them. Then there's EX3. You talked about goods which have paid taxes and you can't find the market here, and you want to take them to another country.
Yes.
So there, once you've declared the EX3, it means you've already paid taxes. So those goods can go, but they don't come back. If you want them to come back, then you use EX2.
And you get a tax refund or you don't?
You don't. On EX3, you don't.
Yeah.
So then there's EX8. These are bonded or re-exports. These are goods that come, they are warehoused, they are still bonded, and they have not yet paid taxes. Then you decide, mostly to do with cars, that you want to take it like to another country, if you have market in another country. So these ones are bonded. You must get a clearing agent with a bond. The clearing agent also is insured by an insurance company, meaning that in case these goods don't exceed, then he's liable to pay these taxes.
All right.
Yes. So mostly those are the four regimes that.
And the procedures, Mr. Kitaaka, take us through some of the procedures.
Now the procedures for these exports are that for EX1s, an entry is captured, a SAD is captured by the agent, and he registers that declaration. Then after he's registered that declaration, the agent will present that SAD with the necessary export accompanying document. That is a single administrative document.
Yes.
He will present that document with the necessary export accompanying documents to the warehouse.
Yes.
For verification. So what happens when he presents it for verification? In the at the bond there are bond officers who will examine those goods and make verification accounts. So after the verification accounts have been made, after those goods have been examined and the bond office has made a verification account,
yes,
those documents will be brought to the export desk,
okay,
for confirmation of those export goods, and then after on satisfaction, an assessment of the entry will be made,
okay,
and we shall generate a release order. But that is for goods that fall within EX1s. Then for EX2,
that's local exports.
Yeah, that's for local exports.
EX2 temporary exports.
Those are
EX2 temporary.
Those are EX1s. That's permanent direct exports.
Go on.
And now for EX2s, what happens is that they're supposed to seek for permission from for Kampala. They're supposed to seek for permission from the manager Kampala, requesting to temporarily re-export, because at some point those goods will be coming back to the country.
Yes.
So as my colleague explained, that's why you find things like goods going for repairs, maybe goods road equipment going maybe to build roads in Sudan and then brought back. Maybe exhibition goods, these exhibitions that go to Kigali and they will be brought back. They've got
even music instruments.
Oh, musicians also.
Yeah, if you're going to have a show somewhere and you need to have this, otherwise when you come back they might ask you for taxes.
They need to seek for that permission from
that is in bulk, not one guitar. If you have
a whole setup on the truck,
they will seek for permission from the manager Kampala, who in most cases will grant it if all the conditions are fine. Then as they exit, they are supposed to be given what is called a temporary, they are supposed to be re-importation certificate. They are presented with re-importation certificates at the borders.
Right.
So on re-importation, that's what they will have to show to the officers at the borders, that it's not new to be, in order to be what?
Exempted
from.
Let's talk about the exports. Where is it found and what does it do normally?
Well, it's an export section. There are several, even at the border, there are exports. Wherever there is a custom office, there must be something to do with exports. So, but we coordinate. For example, if someone wants to, like local produce, you can decide to clear from Kampala, but you can also clear from the border. Yes.
Okay, let's talk about those. Let's talk specifically about unprocessed produce, coffee, cocoa, and other things. Simsim, fish. What do you do when you want to export them in their raw form?
Yeah, but like I said, there are some required documents
from statutory bodies.
Yes, statutory bodies. For example, if you are doing cotton.
If it is Simsim, where do you go?
At Simsim, I don't think they have it.
You don't need to bond them? You don't?
No, we don't bond it. Local produce, we don't bond anything.
Yes?
Yes.
So just get on a truck and drive across the border?
I know you capture document, because even Kenya or any other country won't allow you to come in without documents.
So who gives you the exports desk?
Yes, the exports desk. You can get an agent. If you can't get an agent, you can come to URA office. Any URA office, they would advise you on what to do.
So URA, if you want to export, the first place you go to is the URA. You have an exports desk?
Yes.
Which
if you want information on how you can export,
it can be the first point of call. Uganda Revenue Authority.
Yeah, it can be the first point of call.
Whether it is Simsim or textiles.
Yes, because it's important to know everything that's getting out of the country for even planning purposes, statistics, for Bank of Uganda and Ministry of Finance to plan. So even the little things that are being exported, if you can have a record of them,
they can help. You can. So how else does the Ugandan government help if you want to export things?
I think they have so many export promotion or...
They don't have export compensation here, do we?
Export compensation, as in...
Well, if you have exports and the government is trying to promote certain exports and they need to encourage you, in other countries, I think
for us as Revenue Authority, we just encourage them and make the process of export easier. But on encouraging people, investing in people to export, I think that's not Uganda Revenue Authority.
How about Ugandan embassies abroad? Would they help if you get into another country with your Simsim, you have a truck, and you go and park in the embassy yard and tell them you need a market? Can they do that? Do they have a desk there for them?
I think it's better to find a market before you export. Because you can't just take the goods when you don't have a market there. Even us, we tend to some of the required documents. Where are the goods going? Because most of the people that actually export the local produce, they already have invoices and the pro forma invoices, contracts on where the goods are going.
But you're talking about someone who wants to begin exporting.
And like I said, if you want to begin exporting, it's better to first come and get information, because you won't get a truck full of matoke and go to Ugandan embassy in Kenya and say I want market.
They won't be able to help you.
Yes.
I think it will be better that each particular thing has particular requirements. Now, for instance, like coffee, you definitely have to get what they call from coffee.
The UCDA,
they've got to inspect that coffee to see that it's really up to international standards before they what?
They grade it as well. Arabica, Robusta, grade AA, grade
so that what you're exporting is really of quality. Then you have these others like cotton, coffee, cotton development. They all each each crop. Most of those crops have different organizations that really look into it, that those particular things that are moving out are of quality.
For example, if you're exporting fish and you don't have a Euro certificate, the Euro certificate is issued from here.
Well, but I might be exporting my fish to Kenya.
To Kenya, but I think Kenya, they also have standards. I don't think they're going to allow everything to come.
So you'd have to go to. Let's look at some of the documents that you need for export.
For example, if you're re-exporting something you're going to bring back, first of all, you must show evidence that you pay taxes. So you must have the SAD that you used to clear when the goods came in.
But you need an export certificate from the Ministry of Trade for whatever, whether it is SIM or whatever. You need an export certificate from the government.
It depends on the quantity. You see, the whole thing is if you're exporting something to, like let's say the East African community, they also have their procedures. So, for example,
where do I get those procedures? The Ministry of Trade.
Yes, the Ministry of Trade. Like I said, you can't explain all this here. So it's better if someone wants information, you can come to
URA, and then you direct them to where they can go. And what's a certificate of origin?
Certificate of origin is actually required by the country where you're exporting. Even us here, when they bring in things from China, we ask them for a certificate of origin. And then, of course, some items like medicine, they have to be approved, they have to be of a certain standard.
By the NDA?
Yeah, by the NDA and UNBS, they have to be of a certain standard to be allowed in the country, because you can't allow in everything that comes into the country. So there must be a way to sieve and remove these other goods that are...
Who gives certificates of origin?
Like the respective countries.
Let's talk about our own beloved country.
Ours, I think, is the National Chamber of Commerce.
Uganda National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. In Mulago, I think.
For exports destined to countries outside Comesa.
And once you have that document, where do you go? You can drive a truck across the
no, that's part of the document.
That's part of it. That's one of the requirements.
One of the requirements.
Let's talk about herbs. You say Chinese come here and they process herbs and they sell them abroad, they export them. How does that happen?
I was just giving you an example, I think.
Well, let's talk about that specific one.
That was an example because herbals are being exported, and the reason I was telling you is there are so many people who are making those herbal medicines. So I was just telling you how they can, utilize what we have around here, but it's not like it's an export topic.
Right.
Yes.
But Uganda can export drugs. They would have to certify them within the National Drug Authority.
If you have standards, you can export anything. Because why we are talking about standards? Anything to enter another country, it must be certified or of a certain standard. So you don't wake up and just pack things and go, unless if they are just small quantities.
Right. Just like you're here, this certificate issued to agricultural products.
Yes.
It's given by the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
The Ministry of Agriculture is supposed to inspect all those agricultural crops to see that they are really of standard and of a good quality.
Yes.
Then they are given that certificate, precise.
So if you're selling bananas, you first go to Entebbe.
Depending on the quantity.
The quantity, we're not talking about. Because we're talking about someone exporting containers of bananas. Besides, they have to be refrigerated. They have to be
packed in a
certain way, and so.
Okay, and we spoke about processed exports. One can export cement. They can export biscuits, mattresses.
Yes.
Are people exporting these a lot?
Yes, they're exporting, especially to the neighboring countries. Soap, cooking oil.
Movit, some of this.
Yeah, all those
Splash from Britannia.
Yeah. It's also being exported.
Yeah. Even the Roofings is exporting some of its products
to neighboring countries.
Yes.
Yeah. Even though here Splash had a problem, somebody registered Splash in Kenya and they found it difficult to get into that market. They registered the name and they were not even doing Splash.
That's why we're talking about standards and required documents. So you can mess up your business but not following the correct procedure.
Right. Well, let's hear from the listeners. This is Spectrum on Radio 1 tonight. How is the Uganda Revenue Authority helping to promote exports, considering the challenges being raised by traders? And those wishing to engage in export trade, you can call in now. Our numbers 0414 348 111, 031 226 0390, 031 226 1390. Your name and where are you calling from?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Edmond.
Yes, my friend. Your name?
Yeah, Pastor, thanks for your gift in the studio. You are sure would have been peaceful and wonderful if you had a stakeholder in the meeting or in the discussion. Otherwise, it's one-sided because URA will want to squeeze whatever penny is there left of Uganda. Good evening.
Spectrum, hello. Hello. Okay, yes, your name? Hello. Yes, yes, sir, your name? Come again?
My name is
Rogers, yes?
My problem is people you brought really they don't seem to give us a lot of information. I'm wondering how they're knowledgeable or not. But then secondly, the issue of this clearing agent. Can they do without clearing agent? They are what they are preaching us.
Okay. Spectrum, hello. Yes, you can call in our number 0414 348 111, 0312 260 390, 0312 261 390. When you call in, please switch off your radio or walk away from it and then tell us in where you are calling from. Mr. Kitaaka, can we do it with clearing agents? So you do things on your own, either on the computer or in your long room business office center.
I think they've that facility.
Okay, Spectrum, hello.
Edmond.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you didn't answer my question, but thanks for the test. See, URA, I know how to get. But look at Ugandans now who are struggling. I have a friend who clears some beverages to Congo. And lately, I think he wanted to have some tariffs raised for exports. And there's a slowdown. I wanted to check if exports to Congo, whether through Bunagana, whether through this other point of Utoroko are okay. Otherwise, I think that you're only trying to hook Ugandans because you want to squeeze them out of pennies. Edmond, good evening.
Okay, let's get Spectrum, hello.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, sir. Your name?
How are you? My name is Senior Crimson.
Kristen.
And I beg to respectfully disagree with the most recent caller who insinuates that URA is intent at squeezing every penny from exporters. I want to assure you, Mr. Edmond.
Yes, yes.
URA has a policy. There's what we call zero-rated supplies. That is the way a woman has a group can export. Through 100% of the VAT input spent paid on electricity and water. So I do not want to agree with him, someone who says that the URA has intention of squeezing every penny. There's another aspect, there's another very good opportunity for exporters. If you are manufacturing goods, especially agricultural goods, and you are exporting over 80% of the goods that the finished product, really, you are directed. It doesn't give you up to 10 years exception. So I don't think it's right for someone to say, or to mislead over radio that you are intent at squeezing every penny out of our program, exporters and the manufacturers. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Musima. Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Yes, your name?
Yes, I'm Martin.
Yes, Martin.
Yeah, what's the relevance of a team number to end the actually export?
All right. Relevance of the PIN number. Spectrum, hello. Okay, let's get right back to the studio. Mr. Kitaaka.
Yeah, I would want to answer maybe the first caller who talked of being squeezed at squeezing exporters. There is no way anybody is squeezed, because exports are not, there are no taxes that are paid on exports. The only taxes that are paid on exports are hides and skins. Otherwise the rest are nil. There are no taxes paid on exports.
Yes. Go on.
On Rogers saying, can we do away without clearing agents? Now, clearing agents, you see, they mix brokers with clearing agents, because clearing agents have reputable firms, and they are registered with URA, they are licensed, and they are also insured by insurance companies. So if you go to town and you want an agent and you meet an individual and he says he's a clearing agent, then you deal with him, then you say clearing agents. If you want a clearing agent who's registered, you can go to Nakawa or any URA office.
You have a list of
we have a list of those people who are registered. So on you're saying that we are not giving them information. I think, like we agreed here, we came for exports. So I think he's so much to do with imports. So that's another topic, another day. Then there's another one who said that the exports of Congo through Bunagana, yes. Like I said,
is it working well there?
And like I said, when you want to export or re-export, all you need is a bond, because what URA needs to know is those goods are in safe hands and they are going to exist. So they want to know, in case those goods go missing, someone is accountable. Now, if you are an exporter, you are not registered with URA, you don't have an insurance company that covers you in case the goods get lost. So URA prefers to use a clearing firm which is registered. So what they need to do?
You don't want to deal with individuals, even though they can do the same thing.
Yes. So what they should.
So it's a rule, you have to go through a clearing firm.
Yes. What they should do is to find out the clearing firms that are registered with us, because a clearing agent works for a clearing firm. So it's better to look for a firm rather than look for an individual.
But do you have a charge sheet, a tariffs that you use so they won't overcharge certain people?
You see, clearing firms, what they do is business. So it's negotiable. You go and negotiate with the clearing firm, and there are many. So I don't think URA has.
You don't have a tariff guideline?
No.
Really?
It's a competitive market. They are in a competitive market. If you feel this clearing agent is overcharging, you go to another one.
You go to another one. So long as you verify that he's registered with us.
Yes.
Then there's, I didn't get
the relevance of PIN, Martin.
The relevance of PIN. Now, every time you pay anything in URA, it has to be recorded under a certain database. So a TIN number is what brings you, it's what brings out anything that you've done. For example, if you want to pay for license, yes, it's your identity. So that's yes, everything in the database that you ever, any transaction that you've ever done is put under your name. So even when you want to pay for water, when they are charging you VAT and you want to get back your VAT, if you're a big company, it's under that same thing. So it is relevant. So another one talked about, I didn't get his name, he talked about exemptions on good exporters. That is true. If you're exporting for long and you're compliant, that exemption is there. So to clarify, exports apart from hides and skin, there are no taxes. So
you don't tax it.
So URA has no intention of.
So why do you tax hides and skins?
It's a government policy. You see, URA doesn't make policies; it implements policies.
But give us an idea why.
The idea is that the government, I think, would want to promote the factory, the locally processed leather factory that we have here. So in turn, it would want sort of
to attract hides and skins. skins?
It would want to sort of bar people from exporting it so that they encourage the local export
to
get jobs.
To reduce. You see, the whole essence of taxing, sometimes, for example, when you're bringing in things which are luxury,
yes,
government will tax you a lot because they want to reduce on that money you're spending, the hard currency going out. Because we need it here. If we had enough here, then the economy would be better. So sometimes I think hides and skins are taxed so that they can encourage people to process. Because you can imagine, it's taxed. It goes to China.
It's processed, then you bring the shoes back.
Then they bring the shoes back here, very expensive.
Right.
If we could make the shoes.
So that if we could make the shoes here, would even give people here more jobs, and that would be more better.
And they'd wear nice shoes at good prices.
Yeah, because the Chinese shoes, they're expensive. Chinese shoes, they bring in, they're expensive, but they don't last.
Oh, really? Somebody was talking about disposable shoes. You put it on, you go to a window market. By the time you come back, you need another pair of shoes.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about some of the things that can't be exported as we wind up. Some of the things that if you're talking to people, they should get ready to export this. What are those? Chili and what can they export? Someone has a farm, agricultural produce. What can they export?
I think it's better for them to work in cooperatives.
Oh,
because
agricultural cooperatives.
Yes, because a single person cannot have enough supply like a market in Europe, because they want bulk supplies. So it's better to get cooperatives, and they work many people so that they can have the production big enough.
And you spoke about goats. You say the president opened a market for goats somewhere. What happened about those goats? Refresh that for us.
No, I was just giving an example on how we should expand our base. Because if you don't have enough to supply a market, because you can easily get a market for certain items.
Markets are there, but the volumes are not available.
Yes.
They wanted goods. They said they would send 4 planes each time. They sent 4 planes once. We filled only 3, and they went away very disappointed. That was in the Middle East.
Yes.
Well, we have to go. Thank you very much indeed, our dear guests. Mr. Richard Kitaaka, Export Officer, the Customs Department of the Uganda Revenue Authority. Thank you for coming to Spectrum tonight. Mr. Emmanuel Natumanya, Customs Officer at the same department. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond. The Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next is the news.
Things are good, both at home and the Duka. I am now ready to take my business to the next level. And to do this, I have made a smart choice to use implants. Doctor told me implants would give me 5 years free of unplanned pregnancies. 5 years of no interruptions as I upgrade my Duka to a big shop. That's my smart choice. What's yours?
Condoms, pills, Injectoplan, implants,